We're going to go through utility in the software that is designed to help automate and aid the process of calibrating a multi-value shunt. For people who are not familiar with the multi-value shunt, things like Gilline 9211 or 9711 multi-value shunt, what it is a shunt that can have very specific values for measuring different current ranges. And essentially you connect your current through here and you get your potential pickup here. In essence, it's still a resistor and it's a shunt, but it has several different values. And so to calibrate one of these shunts takes a lot of configuration and setup. And the software utility is designed to basically get rid of all the manual setup processes and running multiple files inside Bridgeworks, where you hook it up, start the measurement, and it'll just prompt you every time you need to change the ranges, which will still have to be a manual process, simply because some of the measurements going all the way up to 10K, they will take a measurement just using the bridge and some of the higher value reference standards here. And then when you start getting down into the higher current values, where you're going below 1 ohms, in most cases you'll either be using a 1 ohm or a 10 ohm, and you'll be measuring with higher current through this range extender. And so there's multiple different setups that you're going to have to change the wiring and configuration to actually make it through one of these shunts. At least you will not have to determine all the measurement configurations through the software, as that will be automated for you. So to begin, you'll connect the shunt to a scanner channel that is free. So we'll take this channel here, channel 28, and you will want to connect your C1s and your C2s to the input common. So you take your C2, go to the input common up here, and then you'll take your C1, or your P1, P2, and go to the common here. And then to connect for the shunt itself, you'll go down to the lowest range down here, which is your 10 amps max. And this will be your C1, and you'll go to the potential right here. You'll make sure that these pegs, which can come out and basically go in anywhere along the different ranges that are specified, are placed in and securely placed in, and usually we'll put them in and you'll just twist them to make sure they got a good secure connection. And so that'll be the initial setup, because you always start with the high value first to work your way down to the low resistance, high current value. And then we'll go over here and we'll launch the utility through plugins, and then we'll go to Multi-Shunt. And you see the window here is loaded with presets for the default values generally used to calibrate various models of the shunt. There are pre-configurations built into the utility here for 9711, 9211, 9200, and 9210, which are the most common ones that are used throughout the military organizations. You'll define it, place its serial number in, and I have it connected to channel 28. You would enter in your serial numbers for your scanners, and you would use these buttons here on the side to load all your resistance values. For the purposes of demos, we'll just go ahead and launch it, and basically when this is all set up, you'll just click on start. It'll ask you for a place of where you're going to store all the data. And I'll take the default here, click on OK, and it begins the measurement. Now the measurement will run, and then when you have to make a change in the setup, as you move down from the 10K, for example, to the 1K, 1K to 100 ohm, the software will stop and it'll prompt you to change the plug settings as you go along. And also when you reach a point where you have to connect the range extender, the software will let you know that you're in a range now where you need to use more current, and it'll tell you to use the times 20 range, or times 200, or times 2000 range based on the amount of current that needs to be generated. Also bear in mind that once you get past using lower currents and you get into above 10 amps, you see here we have a 100 amp connector and a 300 amp connector. You want to bear in mind that once you're actually making the measurement for the 100 amp, it has its own independent connection, so you'll have to use that. And when you do your 300 amp connector, you have to use this connector up here. For the smaller ones, like a 9200, you see that the P1 and P2 are in the middle, C1 and C2 are on the outside, and the connection is common for all the ranges, because this particular shunt doesn't really go that high in current, it only goes up to 15 amps. But as you get to the ones that can withstand quite a bit more current, like the 300 amp shunt here with this 9711 or 9211, they have to have separate terminals to withstand that amount of current. When a test is complete, you'll be able to review the results using the software utility. To review the results, you basically click on the report button and choose current to view the results of the test that was just executed. The results will be listed here from elements 1 straight down to element 9. And that, of course, corresponds to the 10 k ohm all the way down to the 0.33 milliohm values in the shunt here for the 9711 or 9211. In the event you're running a 9200 or a 9210 shunt, these ones only have 7 elements, so the first 7 elements of the report will be populated and the bottom 2 will be left blank. And essentially what you will see is the reported value in ohms and its associated uncertainty with that measurement as conducted by the system. When you go further down, you can scroll down, of course, and you see all your traceability information and what resistor was used to calibrate each element in the shunt itself. And that way you can look to see if there's any problems. If you had a measurement you want to improve the uncertainty of, you'll have to take a look at the uncertainty budget and the resistors that were used to make that calibration. When you're finished with the report, of course, you can click on the Save button and save the results to a file. And then that file will be saved for later recall.